Welcome to the next episode of Brandland. I'm Garrett Justice, and today I'm joined by Sarah Eikmeier, who's a digital designer for the Las Vegas Raiders. Sarah, how are you doing today?
Oh, doing pretty good. It's finally starting to cool down here in Vegas, so
Yeah.
starting to feel like fall a little bit. Got long sleeves on, so can't
What's
complain.
cooling down? What's cooling down in Las Vegas? Tell me.
Sweater weather is 80 degrees. So,
Pretty different from you and I were just talking before we jumped on. Pretty different from Minnesota, where we both lived in the past, right?
oh yeah, I mean, t-shirt weather in the winter in Minnesota is 20 degrees. It's
Yeah.
after a couple weeks of below zero, 20 degrees feels pretty warm. But no, I'd take this the summer heat here in Las Vegas over the Minnesota winters any day, honestly.
I think most would agree with you on that. So,
Yeah.
well, Sarah, I'm super excited to have you on our show today and really excited to jump into our topic. But before we do, why don't you give our listeners a little bit more background on your career so far? And I think everyone probably knows the Las Vegas Raiders, the NFL team, but tell us a little bit more, right?
Yeah, so well, my name is Sarah Eikmeier. I'm the digital designer for the Las Vegas Raiders. I originally went to school for film and video, so I graduated in 2010 from Stevenson University with a Bachelor of Science in Film and Video, which is super weird. You'd think it'd be a Bachelor of Arts, but I get to call myself a scientist, so that's fun. Um, so started my career out as a video editor and kind of slowly transitioned into motion graphics and digital design through that, and that led me to the Minnesota Wild as a broadcast production intern in 2014. Sorry.
Mhm.
And after my internship, I was hired on full time, which was amazing, and that was in the role as the digital display specialist. So I was tasked with managing the digital signage in our arena and building out content for it. And that was amazing. I really got to hone my motion graphics skills there, digital displays, digital ads, anything really in the digital world. And that's where I got my hands on social media design as well. In 2018, I joined the Las Vegas Raiders. At that time, they were still Oakland, but I came straight here to Las Vegas from Minneapolis, and it's been amazing. And we finally have the whole team out here as of this spring, so we're officially the Las Vegas Raiders, and it's pretty exciting.
That's so awesome. Love it. So tell me, have you always been a big sports fan? Like, did you always know you wanted to work in sports? It's such a desirable field that so many people, who are big sports fans would love to work in there. Have you always been that sports fan?
I have always been an athlete ever since I was a little kid. T-ball, soccer. Always wanted to play ice hockey. Finally got the chance when I was in high school. But yeah, I've always been a huge sports fan. I love the passion and emotion that goes into sports. And honestly, all through high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And it was in college that I really, found this passion for storytelling. And I found that through video and film. And then I fell in love with the behind the scenes, piecing together the story, and became an editor, pieced together those stories. It's like a fun puzzle. And it just kind of hit me when I got out of college that I wanted to stay involved in sports. I wanted to keep playing sports somehow, and I wanted to tell these stories of sports. And just like I said, the passion and the emotion. I'm a huge hockey fan, and just there's so much emotion that you see on these players game after game. Just even after one goal, and I wanted to be a part of that. And so I really put my efforts into trying to get into the sports world and be able to be a part of telling those stories. And I'm very grateful that, these opportunities arose and I was able to take advantage of them. And I am where I am now. And it's amazing to be a part of the Raiders story right now. We're building history right now, and it's just truly amazing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that there's so much that so many and other businesses can learn from sports when it comes to, you talked about the passion and the strong brands that are built really well known, and just like the loyalty and the fans. I think there's so much that we can, in any business that you work in, that you can learn from professional sports. So again, I'm really excited to talk to you about this today. Before we jump into our topic, which is really around how COVID-19 has affected or impacted the creative for you and your production and how you work. Before we jump into that topic, I do want to ask you briefly about what that transition was like, where, the Oakland Raiders were such a strong brand, iconic, well-known brand for so long. And then that transition just a few years ago to a new city in Las Vegas. What would you say your biggest learning is from trying to build this already well-established brand in a new city? What's your biggest takeaway?
I think the bar was set pretty high for us with how well the Golden Knights were embraced by Las Vegas. This city loves them. And, Stanley Cup run, their inaugural year, definitely helped them. Mm-hmm. But the thing with the Raiders is we're already an extremely established international brand. Raider Nation runs deep, and Raider Nation is passionate. So we came into Vegas embracing our future here in Vegas while still holding on and honoring our past. And I think that's one of the most powerful things we as a brand has, is our past, is our history, and how important it is to who we are today. So our current campaign here in Vegas is 2 legacies, 1 future. And that's really about bringing 2 iconic brands, for lack of a better term, together. So you have that iconic brand of the Raiders, whether it's Los Angeles, Oakland, or Las Vegas. No matter where we are the Raiders. And then you have this iconic city that we now need to call home. So you have 2 legacies that are come together, 2 legacies that have come together to build an amazing future together.
Yeah, I love that. I think that idea for that campaign is just perfect, to build on what you have already established in the past. That it's a new evolution. It's this new phase in this new city. I think there's so much that we can learn from that as marketers in general, as we're taking our products to new locations or launching new products. I think that there's a lot of learnings there. So fascinating. Well, let's jump into this topic, shall we, about COVID-19. Yeah. So specifically, where I want to start is just, when did you first realize that COVID-19 was going to have a tangible impact on your job? Tell me a little bit about that.
So it was a Thursday, March 12th. We were all sent home from the office. I think at that time it was like, at least 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. And, we kind of pack up our desk, grab, whatever we think we might need. And it's just like, all right, see you when I see you. Mm-hmm. So right then and there, that's when we were really thrust into the reality of the pandemic and how it's going to affect what we do. And this was right before the NFL draft, which was supposed to be here in Las Vegas. And when the reality hit that the NFL draft was going to be 100% virtual, I think that's really when we realized what the pandemic, or how when the NFL draft was announced that it's going to be 100% virtual, that was definitely when we realized the impact of the pandemic and how it was going to affect our workflow, and how we were going to need to start communicating information for graphics, how we were going to start getting feedback and approval and delivery of graphics. That's really when we hit that pivot point where it's like, okay, we're going to be here for a while. We got to figure this out.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so tell me again, how big is your team there, your creative team that you're working with?
We are a team of 5.
Okay. So small but mighty. And my experience.
Small but mighty. I like that. Small but mighty.
That's right. My experience with creative teams is often that work is just so collaborative, especially if you're in a small group like that, right? So you're feeding off each other's ideas and working on campaigns and concepts together. So talk to me about the shift of that in-office collaboration to then all of a sudden working from home. What has that collaboration as a team been like, and that transition?
It's definitely been a challenge. Back in the office, all 5 of us, we were in the same room, and that just made bouncing ideas off of each other as easy as, just asking the question out loud to anyone who wants to answer it, or sliding your chair over to the next person's desk to take a look at what they have on their computer screen. And we definitely have realized how much we took that for granted. And it's definitely something that it's hard to replicate, that kind of collaborative effort in the virtual world. But we have tools like Slack and Teams, and of course cell phones. Mm-hmm. So we have been able to adapt virtually to collaborate on the graphics. We've been working remote since March. We don't know when we'll be back in the office. So whether it's video meetings to brainstorm, toss ideas around, just shooting a graphic to the team on Slack saying like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Or, hey, I'm in a creative block right now. I need some help. Can I get you guys' input? And just picking up the phones to talk things through. A lot of the times we'll, jump on Teams, or we'll share our screen, and we'll just talk through different aspects. Like, oh, what if you shift this over here? What if you left justify it or right justify it, or try taking this element away? So the technology in place where we're still able to communicate, not as fast as if we were in person, because you don't have that immediate response. You don't know what everyone's doing at that specific time, but having the technology there where we can still get in touch with our teammates. We all know we have a great working relationship, so we're able to shoot ideas around. We're able to share our screens. We're able to still collaborate. We're able to do it, and I think the creative team here at the Las Vegas Raiders is, we joke around, we're #dream team. We lean on each other a lot for everything, and we pick each other up. We jump in on projects if someone's struggling with it, and the collaboration that we had in the office, it's still happening. And yeah, we have our challenges, but we're making it work, and I couldn't be more proud of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what I'm hearing you say is it's different, right? It's a different dynamic, but that collaboration is still so key and still needs to happen. And so having the right tools and technology in place to help facilitate that, as well as just kind of the buy-in from everyone on the team, that's still needed, and we're still going to collaborate and help each other out as needed. Sounds like that has been the key to helping you be successful kind of in this new normal. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, communication is key, and I think in any department, but yeah, especially with us, when you have 5 people working on various graphics, various projects, all for the same brand, and you want it to all be cohesive, but still fresh and exciting and new. So just having those lines of communication with the team has been, monumental in the product that we're able to put out.
Yeah, makes sense. So take me back then. You talked about, it became real when that NFL draft happened earlier this year remotely. And so when we're talking about, as you're thinking about preparing for this upcoming season, you and your team and the creative production or graphic work that you're doing, how did it change? How's it different this year preparing for the season and the graphics and the things you were going to produce compared to, previous seasons, previous years?
Yeah, so as soon as we realized that nothing about 2020 was going to be typical, Jim Plain, our social media content producer, and we started planning for the season look back in like April and May, because we knew there was going to be a lot of wrenches thrown at us, So we had to start coming up with plans A through Z. The biggest thing that goes into the development of our social and game day looks each year is our media day. And that's when we get photo and video assets of all the players to use on graphics throughout the season. And we weren't sure if we were going to have a media day. That usually happens in June during mini camps. There weren't mini camps, so we didn't know. So we start planning like, okay, so we might not have a media day, We have this amazing rookie class that just came in. We've got a lot of big names in free agency. We have no pictures of them in Raiders gears. We don't know if we're going to have pictures of them in Raiders gear. So what do we do? Okay, well, let's build a look that uses game day photos. So we have, our core players from last season. We have game day photos of them. We'll get game day photos of the new guys. Let's roll with that look. So there's plan A. Plan B, let's say we get a media day. Awesome, perfect. Let's roll with it. Great.
Mhm.
Everything's a little bit easier. Plan C, the dreaded jersey swaps. I hate doing jersey swaps, so I really did not want to have to rely on plan C.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Luckily, we did end up getting a media day at the end of July, and I'd say about 90% of our players were able to be there. And, that did leave us with a handful of big name players that we did not get photos of on media day. And it kind of became this perfect situation where we were able to combine elements from plan A and plan B, and that gave us what I think is a pretty great look for a home game package and an away game package. So we took two looks and made them two brand new looks based on game day photos and media day photos, and we were able to utilize those media day shots and utilize those game day shots.
Yeah, love that. So, I mean, the takeaway for me from that is when you have your world turned upside down, like with so many of us with COVID, is make sure you have a backup to your backup, even, right? Like be prepared
Yes.
for any contingency there. And because you had those in place, you were able to get something that kind of combined A and plan B and create something that was just awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we had no idea what was going to happen, and I think we as a group couldn't be more proud of what we've come up with this year. So it all
Awesome.
worked out.
That's awesome. It's so great. So Sarah, so talk to me more about game day. Game day is often in any professional sport, but especially the NFL, it's kind of the culmination of everything. And it's just huge. But with so many teams this year prohibiting fans from attending the games in person, how has that changed the type of assets that you and your team are creating and producing in order to still keep fans engaged and excited on game day, even if they're not there in person?
Yeah, I think keeping fans excited and engaged on game day is definitely the biggest challenge in our situation right now. They can't be here in the stadium, so they're relying on broadcasts and then our feeds for that content to bring them into the game experience. So I think the big thing that we've been trying to do is bring as much of a game day experience to them as possible, whether that's a unique way in presenting, big play graphics for a touchdown for a specific player, or Max Crosby has a sack. Like let's get the fans involved on Twitter. Like
Mm-hmm.
throw out an awesome graphic on there showing Max Crosby's sack.
Mm-hmm.
What you would see up on the video boards in the stadium, we want to bring that feel to them on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Jim down on the field during games capturing great content that he's able to immediately push out to IG story in a unique way. So when fans see it on the broadcast and then go to the feeds, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they're able to see that content in a more unique, different way that brings them in there as this is the Raiders. Like we're the Raiders fan and this is how the Raiders are presenting it, as opposed to, okay, this is how it's viewed on the broadcast. You get
Yeah.
more of that personal, feel.
I love that. And so you're bringing some of that in-person experience through some of these digital channels like social, where people are engaging on game day. And what I like about that too is it probably just brings out more of the personality of, like you said, Raider Nation, and allows you
Yeah.
to kind of strengthen that brand and speak through that brand, maybe even more than you would do for someone when they're in person. Is that right?
I definitely would agree with that. I think we've set the bar high for us, and we may have to continue with this method, post pandemic, because it is an exciting way to bring the personality of the team to Raider Nation, whether it's, snippets of guys on the sidelines celebrating a win, or just like little personality aspects of them during warm-ups, or even during the game, having them mic'd up. It's definitely a fun way to bring the game to the fans who can't be right there along the sidelines during warm-ups, getting pictures with the guys, and seeing how they interact, and things like that. So I think it's definitely been a fun experience, and I think it's an experience that we should continue, even once fans are allowed back in the stadium, because not everyone will be able to come to a game. So let's keep bringing the game day experience to them.
Yeah, I love that. I think that there's so much that every type of business can learn from that too. I think every business has faced this same challenge in some way or another, where you may have had, even we're a software company, right? We typically work remote, but we had these in-person events and things that we were doing before where you could engage with people in person, and all of a sudden that's all gone. I think that's the case for so many businesses. So how can you still leverage some of the benefits that would happen in some of those in-person experiences, but move them to a digital channel? So I love this example because I think it's so applicable to, probably every business out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, this has been so great, Sarah. I really appreciate you sharing your insights and experiences with us, especially for such a well-known, iconic brand like the Raiders. This is great. As we wrap up here today, and how would you summarize kind of what you and I discussed today? And if there are listeners out there who want to know how they can go and apply this in their own businesses, what would you recommend they do?
I mean, communication is key. What is collaboration without communication? So you can't just rely on text messages, or emails, things like that. Like, pick up the phone, jump on a video call. Like, nothing compares to the in-person dialogue that you may have, especially when you're bouncing ideas around. And I think this day and age, we've kind of forgotten about actual phone calls, and I think just communication is the best way to get stuff done. And if a text message or a Slack message or an email isn't getting the idea across, just pick up the phone, just call them, talk it out, come up with a great idea, and then execute it.
Yeah, love it. Great advice. I think that even though, all of us are working remote right now, especially in the creative world, in the world of marketing, it's so important to leverage everyone's expertise and continue to work together to build really great stuff. Even if we're remote, we can still and should still leverage everyone's expertise and collaborate there. So I think that's awesome. Great advice. So Sarah, as we wrap up today, if there are listeners who have follow-up questions for you or want to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I am on LinkedIn. I am trying to be better about being on LinkedIn, but Twitter is probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. I like to think I'm pretty good at responding to messages on there. That is at Eikmeier_Sarah. Awesome. And then I'm also on Instagram at Sarah Eikmeier Design. So you can hit me up on any of those three.
Perfect. We'll drop the links on the page where this is posted too. So if you're listening, you don't have to worry about writing those down real quick. You'll be able to just find those and connect with Sarah. So Sarah, last question I have for you.
Yeah.
Super important one is the Raiders are 2-2 this season. Had some big wins over Kansas City and some others, right? How do you think this season is going to play out for the team?
You just got to take it game by day, right? We just got to take it game by game, right? I think we're a young team, and I think we've done an amazing job battling back from injuries, and that huge win over, Kansas City Super Bowl champs, that's huge momentum. So just don't write us off. Keep an eye on us. We're here to do big things. So
awesome.
The great Al Davis once said, "Just win, baby."
Yeah, that's right. Can't wait to see how the rest of the season goes for you. Wish you the best, and really appreciate you taking the time to share your insight and experience with us today on the podcast. So hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Garrett. You too.
Talk to you later.
Bye.